Nutty Sports Gamer here. I ended the last episode of the 40-year sim on the draft lottery for the 2014 draft. And Vipers, Celtics, Warriors, that's the top three. Get the Hawks, Pelicans, Magic, Suns, Bulls, Magic again in the top 10 of the draft lottery. So, with all that in mind, let's get into the draft. I forgot to make it so that the CPU selects for the Vegas Vipers and the Sonics, so I selected Joel Embiid, which is the correct choice, I think, for them. Zach LaVine going to the Celtics. And then we got Nikola Jokic going to the Warriors. Interesting, because Rudy Gobert is already there. Hawks taking Marcus Smart out of Oklahoma State. Great defensive guard, right? Jabari Parker going to the Pelicans, which is funny because Giannis is there and they were briefly teammates for a couple of years. Julius Randle going to the Orlando Magic. They are really a nice team is forming there in Orlando. Andrew Wiggins going to the Suns. They get yet another small forward to add to the collection of small forwards they have over there. Bruno Caboclo, 2 years away from being 2 years away. That was always the thing about him, I think, right? Adrian Payne going to the Bulls. Magic again. Dante Exum, always injured in real life. Maybe not in the sim. Well, definitely not in the sim. Clint Capella to the Blazers, which is interesting because they also have Vukovic there. Then we got the Sonics. The Sonics, again, I don't really like being in this spot. I like the CPU selecting these picks because it makes it more fun. But I gave them Aaron Gordon because he's a fine player at that spot, 12 spot. And then we got Glenn Robinson to the third, to the Mavericks. Wizards up next. Dario Saric, not bad. Not a bad stretch four kind of player. Toronto Raptors getting Bogdan Bogdanovic. We'll show you what happens with him later in the sim. Lewis I can't do it. Sean Kilpatrick to the Jazz. And then we have the Nuggets selecting James Young, who I believe went to the Celtics in real life. The Hawks turn Rodney Hood. Always a guy I thought could be good, and it just wasn't. Maybe that changes in the sim, I don't know. Gary Harris to the Suns, a solid guy, a solid two guard in the 2010s, late 2010s. Shabazz Napier, a player LeBron was really excited about, and then he did nothing. TJ Warren to the Hornets, a nice scorer, nice wing. Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, going to the Nets. Not a bad pick for the Nets, considering a lot of things. Jordan Clarkson going to the Heat. Great six-man kind of guy. Dwight Powell to the Suns. Magic selecting again Johnny O'Brien III. And I don't really recognize that name at all, actually. Jordan McRae going to the Lakers. And then we got the Wizards selecting again Stephen Holt. Again, not familiar with that name. Clippers taking Cristiano Felici. I am familiar with him. I know he's still playing internationally. I think he does, actually. Walter Tavares on the Celtics. Get the Suns selecting KJ McDaniels. That sounds familiar, but I don't know why. Lakers selecting Sim Bular. Come on, Lakers. There are some good picks here to get. You can really get the good ones. I didn't realize they had their own pick, too, for this year. Torrey Craig going to the Hawks. That would have been a nice pickup for the Lakers, but they didn't get him. CJ Fair to the Pelicans, which is all right. Vipers selecting. Oh, yeah. I just went with the top guy, Tyler Ennis. Not very exciting, but Nurkic was right there, but I don't want to do that. Jakar Sampson to the. I wanted to see Nurkic go somewhere random instead of me selecting him. Doug McDermott going to the Magic. And then you get the Suns taking Okaro White. Timberwolves selecting Yusuf Nurkic. There you go. He's going to the Wolves, who already have Andre Drummond. So that's what's going on with that. What is up with that? Tariq Black. I don't like teams with established centers drafting centers. I don't like that. Isaiah Austin going to the Heat. I don't mean to complain. It's just 2K. I am getting a bit fed up with 2K23. I think I finally reached my breaking point with this game. I've been playing it, because of the sim for 2 years now, and for the longest time I was ignoring the flaws. But it's just, I'm so over them at this point. It's kind of funny how increasingly frustrating I'm getting. Increasingly frustrated that I'm getting at this game. Who do I select for the Sonics? Dinwiddie, yeah, whatever. We'll see. Dinwiddie took a while to develop, so I don't really know if it's going to be anything interesting, anything special for the Sonics. We'll see. Nick Johnson going to the Celtics. Hornets taking Mitch McGary. Are there any interesting names left? There might be. Let's see. Tim Frazier going to the Nuggets, went to Penn State, as did I. Look at there. Interesting information. Jeremy Grant going to the Mavericks. Maxi Kleber. Okay, there were some interesting names left. Interesting how these guys are all falling, too. Spurs, Alex Kirk. Not as interesting, but there's a run of interesting players there selected. Elfrid Payton. Yeah. He's a name. I know him for sure. Corey Jefferson. Elfrid Payton. Mostly a decent defensive guard, but that's about it. Langston Galloway. I recognize that name, yes. Damon Inglis. Coming up with the last couple here. Tyler Johnson. Hey, I know him. I know that beard for sure. Milwaukee Bucks, Noah Vonleh. Isn't he having a tough time playing in China? That's the last I heard of Vonleh. Bryce Cotton. Going to the Knicks. Celtics taking Chris Newsom. Don't know if I know that guy. The Hawks selecting Josh Huestis, who I do recognize that name. Yes. The Grizzlies, James Michael McAdoo, and then 2 more picks left. The Cavaliers and the Hornets. Cavaliers taking PJ Harrison out of North Carolina. And then lastly, we got Russ Smith. All right, here's the deal. I recorded this next segment several days ago because I wanted to get on with the 2015 season. So the next segment, we'll go over all the rosters and then transactions and then the Lakers ring ceremony. So here we go. Let's get right into it. I don't want to waste too much time. Should I do the transaction report first? I think it's more exciting. I think it's more exciting to do it this way, right? To wait, to keep you in suspense. Who's where? So this is kind of a wild offseason. It took me a little longer than I had hoped to put it together. I'm trying to get through this fast. I feel like the time is my enemy right now. So first off, 76ers last year were 63-19. They lost in the second round to, I believe, the Knicks, right? The Knicks beat the Sixers. And let's check out the roster. Now you got Steph Curry, Nick Batum, who they retrieved in a trade with the Kings. So they got Nick Batum back. He used to be on the 76ers for a couple of seasons, but now he's back. You got Andre Iguodala, who they got from a trade last trade deadline. Solid, obviously a great defender, great wing defender. So, you got Curry here. You got 2 wing defenders who could shoot. Then you got Kevin Love, of course, who had great numbers last year, 23 and 14 averages. He's a star, right? He's a bona fide star with him and Curry. And then also part of that Kings trade, which I'll show you the transactions when we're all done with the rosters. But Andrew Bogut. Andrew Bogut is now on the Sixers. He was traded because he's a more efficient scorer, although his free throw percentage really took a nosedive. Yikes! But let's just hope. I'm pretty sure that's because he was on a bad team. Although look at his free throw percentages for other years too. Yikes! But rebounding, efficient scorer in the paint. And that's kind of what they need. Roy Hibbert was kind of losing his efficiency. And so Bogut is here at the 5. You got Al Harrington off the bench. Jamal Crawford now is on the 76ers. You got Carlos Delfino, who's been here for a couple of years already. Andris Biedrins, who's now going to be the backup 5 to Andrew Bogut. He had been a starter for a couple of years. Then you have Luke Ridnour, who's starting to really decline, but he's just good enough to be the backup to Steph Curry. He's still putting up good numbers. So yeah, he's still worthy of being in the rotation. Hopefully, his numbers don't decline too much like his rating has. Then down the reserves, you got Campazzo, you got Raul Neto, Glenn Rice Jr., Kem Birch, James Michael McAdoo. So that's the roster. Is this a championship team now? I don't know. What I do think, though, is I think Steph Curry should really be able to, his scoring wise, he should really pop this year. I think he should score at least 30 points per game because now you got Batum who doesn't score as much. Iggy, you had Rudy Gay here for last season. You had Ray Allen last season. Now Steph Curry could really up his scoring averages and play like an MVP candidate. So, but I still think this is a really really good roster and definitely a playoff team. Let's move on to the Milwaukee Bucks, who made a big move. This is kind of a hint. Gilbert Arenas now in the Bucks. Why did he leave the Thunder? What happened to Kevin Durant in the Thunder? What happened? You got Manu Ginobili, Luol Deng, Dirk Nowitzki, Aldrich, Taj Gibson, Michael Petrus, or Mikhail Petrus, JJ Redick, Haddadi, Brad Wanamaker. This is a veteran group. Noah Vonleh, James Ennis III, Ben McLemore as reserves. This is a veteran group, right? JJ Redick's 30, Haddadi's 29, Petrus is 32. These older guys. Even Cold Aldrich is 26. Dirk is 36. Deng is 29. Gilbert 32. Ginobili 37. So older group. I decided that what, let's try to really maximize this squad with Dirk and Ginobili before they are of an age where they start to think about retirement. And let's try to maximize this squad with guys that are around the same age, and they'll pretty much decline together, and the team will have to go through a full rebuild. That's kind of the plan with the Bucks right now. So that's the Bucks. The Bulls, interesting stuff has happened. Ricky Rubio, Dwayne Wade has left the Cavaliers. They lost in the second round to the Milwaukee Bucks, actually, and it led to a fallout. Dwayne Wade was going to be a free agent. Did he want to stay in Cleveland? He won his 2 rings with LeBron. Cleveland is not really his city. Chicago is his city. Of course, in real life, Miami turned out to be his franchise, but he's born and raised in Chicago, right? So Evan Fournier at the 3 now. You got Josh Smith, who they got in a trade with the Bobcats, now Hornets, and then they got Greg Oden. So interesting starting 5. And then you got Alexei Ajinka, I think his name is, Nick Collison, Carlos Arroyo, Anthony Tolliver, Marcus Thornton, Kyle Quinn, Gorgie Jang is down here. So yeah, Greg Oden reuniting with Dwayne Wade. Really solid team. I think this could be. They took a bit of a dip, right? Last year they were 30-52. Yeah, Bulls definitely should get back to playoff contention. But we could say that about the Sixers. We could say that about the Bucks, and we could say about the Bulls. So if you add it up, once you really start to add it up, you really who's going to be left out of the playoff picture is really what we're going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. So that's the Bulls. The Cavaliers now entering phase 2 of the LeBron James era is what I would say. Patrick Beverley is now the starting point guard. He was on the Sonics last year, and he was only on a 1-year deal, I think, or maybe he was traded. But yeah, now he's on the Cavaliers. You got Brandon Roy, you got LeBron James, Marvin Williams, Tim Duncan, who's 38 years old. He wants to commit his future to his team. I'm hoping he changes his mind. It's time for him to retire. I mean, I love him. I love Tim Duncan, and he's still putting up really good numbers. So, he's definitely close to retirement, if nothing else. You got Big Baby Davis here, who I don't know about that, about him being here. We'll see if that lasts, because he sucks in this sim. Doesn't matter that he's an 80 overall. Iman Shumpert is now on the Cavaliers. You got John Lucas III, who had a really nice season as backup point guard for the Cavaliers, so he's back. C.J. Miles had a bit of a down season with Toronto, but he's had a couple of good seasons with the Bucks and the Raptors in times past. So we'll see if he can perform well for the Cavaliers. Some younger bench pieces. He's 28, not that young, and Shumpert's 24. Big Baby Davis is 28. Tiago Splitter, they stole Splitter from the Knicks, so he's here with he's on the Cavaliers. You got Patrick Patterson, who was on the Miami Heat, and Solomon Hill, and Joe Harris. Joe Harris, who he's kind of a project for me. I found him in free agency. And I was like, what the hell? What? Joe Harris? Why is he all the way down there? Why is he all the way in free agency like that? So I'm hoping to eventually get him to the point where he's part of a rotation and then eventually a starter by the end of the decade. But I wanted to make sure that he was on a team. That way he doesn't get lost in free agency. So Joe Harris is down there. He's a sniper. At least in his prime, he was an absolute freaking sniper from beyond the arc. So this team could obviously do some damage. It's going to be very fun. I'm very interested to see how this team does this season with the changes that they made. So that's the Cavaliers. Now we have the Celtics. Mario Chalmers, Zach LaVine, Rashard Lewis, Serge Ibaka, Mecca Okafor, Isaiah Thomas, Pekovic, OJ Mayo, Larry Hughes, Sean Williams, got Farmer, Jamichael Green, and that's about it. So yeah, the Celtics. Um, Isaiah Thomas now in the Celtics. We didn't really see him at all in last season. We didn't really see the Celtics team at all, and I feel like it's because I focus too much on the good teams. And what I want to make sure I do this season is at least the first half of the season focus more on teams like these where I want to see Isaiah Thomas, right? I want to see Zach LaVine. So I want to make sure I emphasize that more this season because I was so eager to get through 2014 that I feel like we missed out on watching some young players. So, but yeah, the thing with Zach LaVine though, I had traded for Isaiah Thomas last season, put him on the Celtics. I wanted to see IT4 on the Celtics, but now they got Zach LaVine, who's obviously their player of the future. And if you know anything about Zach LaVine or Isaiah Thomas, absolute bad defenders, right? Not great defenders at all. So they cannot share the court together. That's disaster defensively, which is kind of bad for Isaiah Thomas, I think, because you're not going to trade Zach LaVine. He's your future scorer. He's 19 years old. He could be a long-time Celtic. Isaiah Thomas might be the odd man out now in this group because at best he could be a sixth man, but he deserves to be a starter somewhere. He's obviously a hell of a scorer in the sim, and he was in real life in his prime. So I would like to see him be a starter. I just don't think it's going to happen on this team because Zach LaVine, you need a stronger defender at point guard in order to have Zach LaVine really, uh, you know, be valuable to your team. You need a point guard who can play defense so that he can score and do his thing. So that's the Celtics, though. I think they're getting interesting. The Clippers, they won 59 games last year. I mean, they're bringing back pretty much everybody, but everyone's pretty young. 24 years old, John Wall. Avery Bradley's 23. Gallinari's 26. Blake is 25. You got Yao Ming at 34, but he played great. He did exactly what they needed him to do for LA. So he's been fantastic for the Clippers. They got Brandon Wright off the bench. Eric Gordon, Sebastian Telfair, J.J. Hickson, Corey Brewer. This is a hell of a bench, a really, really great bench. So I think this Clippers team is one to be reckoned with. I don't understand why their power rank is 32. That often doesn't really make much sense. The NBA 2K power ranks, but this is definitely a great team, a well built team that won 59 games last year, and their bench they're pretty much the same, but it's a really great bench. The Grizzlies, another team that I think could really uh, pull off something interesting this year. Mike Conley, 95 overall. Jason Richardson, who's declining but still playing really well. Got Paul George, who's an absolute star at this point. Zebo, Marc Gasol, Enes Kanter, Bojan Bogdanovic, Patty Mills, Garrett Temple, uh, Mike Scott. Might bump up Mike Scott. He's a nice stretch four. Or he became one later in his career. Maxi Kleber's down here. So yeah, I really like this bench, and I think this Grizzlies team, they made the playoffs last year, obviously where they were out in round one, but this team can make a run for sure. I think I am pretty excited to see what they could do this season because I think that they could build on what they did last year. So the Hawks, Dennis Schroeder, Quentin Richardson, Martell Webster, Derek Favors, Chris Kaman, Alec Burks, Michael Beasley, Marcus Morris, Marcus Smart, Zaza Pachulia, Shane Larkin, Ronnie Hood, Tony Snell, Torrey Craig, Josh Eustace. Uh, Probably not going to be very good this year. I mean, this year. Probably not going to be very good this year. Last year, they won 19 games. They might do a little bit better than that, but a lot of young players here. Obviously, Schroeder's 21. And you got Marcus Smart over here, who's 20. But you got also a mix of veterans like Quentin Richardson, Martell Webster. Derek Favors is only 23. Chris Kaman's 32. See, it's a weird mix of really young players and some veterans. Might not win very many games, especially in the East. It's such a tough conference. So the Miami Heat. So here we go, folks. This is what they've been building towards. It makes sense once you see it. It's like, yes, of course. Kyrie Irving, Thabo Sefolosha, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is now on the Heat, traded to the Heat, and the Heat gave up a lot to get KD, including Jimmy Butler, which is pretty crazy. And Tobias Harris is also on the Thunder. Anthony Davis is here though. They got Valanciunas, they got Sasa Vujacic, Eddie Griffin coming off the bench, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Ryan Anderson, Omar Cook, whose numbers were pretty good last year. Isaiah Kanan, Ryan Kelly, benches, But the big story here, of course, you got a big three: Irving, Durant, Anthony Davis. Valanciunas is here because Anthony Davis famously does not like playing the five, so you got Valanciunas doing that for this squad, and but also not taking much away from Anthony Davis. I want Anthony Davis to score. He's averaging 16, 17 a game. He should be averaging way higher numbers than that. And I'm hoping that with Cephalosha not really demanding the ball much, Valanciunas not really demanding the ball, I'm hoping that this team can be very good, but also the stars play like stars. That's what I want to see. I'm really excited to see how this plays out. Got the Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets, no longer the Bobcats, and I don't know if they'll be as good as the Bobcats. They still got some good players, though. Jeff Teague. Victor Oladipo is now the starting two guard now that Brendan Roy's gone. Joe Wallace is back. He's back in Charlotte. You got Luke Mbamute, who I really like. I think he's been doing pretty damn well in this sim so far. Played really well for Houston as a nice role player, stretch four, defender, and all that. Hassan Whiteside, who looks to be a guy who can get you a double-double machine. Uh, Nice efficiency scoring wise. So not a bad starting five, really. Yamahini's here too. Got David Lee. You got Gerald Henderson, Cody Zeller, Adam Morrison, Dellavedova, TJ Warren, Tariq Black. And yeah, so that is pretty much it. But they're not going to be as good as they were during the prime Bobcats years. So that means now it's Oladipo's time to become the next star two guard in Charlotte. We'll see how if he answers the call. The Jazz, George Hill, Tyreek Evans, Jared Dudley, David West, Tyson Chandler, Karan Butler, Chris Mim, Wayne Ellington, DJ Augustine, Will Barton, and Reggie Bullock is here. Norvell Pell. Bullock, I eventually see becoming a nice role player, if not for the Jazz and somebody else. But I really like this Jazz squad. I don't think they're going to be quite as good as the Grizzlies or the Clippers, but I like how they've come out. Vince Carter is getting a bit old. I didn't want them to have to rely on a 37-year-old Vince Carter to be like their main scorer. But now you got Tyreek Evans, who definitely has the potential to score in the 20s. And you pairing him with George Hill, I think that's a nice backcourt pairing. And I think this front court is awesome. And David West has been good, really good these last couple seasons. Even though he's 34, he's been playing like an all-star. Then you got Tyson Chandler, who's a borderline all-star. He does his thing. He gets his rebounds. He plays really great defense. And he's going to bring that to this Jazz squad. I think the bench looks fine, too. So, yeah, I definitely think this is a playoff squad. I don't know if they can get past the second round, but I really like what the Jazz have done here. Looking at the Kings, Eric Bledsoe, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Corey Maggette, Draymond Green, Roy Hibbert, Jordan Hill, Randy Foye, James Johnson, Sasha Pavlovich, Damari Carroll, and Mason Blumley. So yeah, I'm excited to finally get Carroll and James Johnson in rotation, and if it has to be the Kings, so be it. Um, but other than that, yeah, here's the thing with about this Kings team. Some great defenders, Bledsoe, KCP. KCP, I mean, the jury's out. We haven't really seen him play yet, but he can potentially score at least 15 a night. Bledsoe averaging 18 on really bad efficiency. Corey Maggette is a scorer. He's 34 years old, but I think he can still pretty much score as well as he has in seasons past. Um, then you got Draymond Green, who's not a scorer, and he needs to improve his efficiency. Otherwise, he's absolutely negative on the court, at least on offense. Then you got Roy Hibbert, who his efficiency has been kind of in doubt, uh, declining, and I was worried it was going to decline even further with if he stayed on Philly. So overall, though, this team maybe not too great. A lot of great defenders on this team, but not much offense. Other than Maggette, who's old, and Bledsoe can score too. But yeah, I expect this team to be a nice defensive team that just can't really score all that well. The Knicks, Ty Lawson, Joe Johnson, Camilla Anthony, Pau Gasol, DeAndre Jordan, Tony Allen, Omar Ashik. You got Kirk Heinrich still here, Davis Bertans, Tomas Satoransky, Anderson Varejao, DeMar Johnson, Rip Hamilton, Michael Carter Williams. So the Knicks pretty much running it back for the most part. They made it to the finals last year. It was really impressive they were able to do that, but I think that they should still be pretty damn good. Lakers, Chris Paul, Kobe Bryant, Danny Granger, Charlie Villanueva, Dwight Howard, Yi Jinglan, Raymond Felton, Bobby Brown, Marcin Gortat, Mike Dunleavy, Johan Petro, Terrence Ross. Ugh, I just killed a spider. There's a spider in my basement, which I guess that's not that surprising to say that you have a spider in your basement. Anyway, so yeah, Robert Covington and Daniel Tice, Terrence Ross. I want these guys to eventually get minutes. I don't know if they'll get minutes on this team, but there's some nice young assets here if they want to, make a move. But now another thing to point out is Kobe Bryant is starting to decline. So Kobe Bryant is 36 years old. He's not 7 years pro. He's been in the league since '96. That's a little 2K glitchy thing because when I changed his hair from afro to bald, it messed with his years pro stat. So whatever. But yeah, he's declining a little bit. But we'll see if the rest of the team can pick him up and keep him going. Obviously, Dwight Howard won MVP last year, and they won the championship last year. So this is still a very good squad. But I guess Kobe Bryant now at this point is very much the number 3 guy of the big 3. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. The Magic, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, Elton Brand, Hashim Thabit, Markieff Morris, Joseph Forte, Doug McDermott, Steven Adams, Dante Exum, Julius Randle. Magic should be really interesting to watch. 24-year-old Lillard's here with 23-year-old McCollum. You got 23-year-old Middleton. Markieff Morris is 25. Doug McDermott, I think, should be a nice addition to this team. Steven Adams is 21. Julius Randle is 19. So there's pieces here for a really nice playoff team in the future. But they're not there yet, right? But they have the players now. They definitely have players to succeed. They need experience, right? They need to progress. They need to, they need patience, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The Mavericks, Darren Collison, Tracy McGrady, Rudy Gay, Thaddeus Young, Rudy Gobert, Deshaun Stevenson, Jared Sullinger, Bismack Biyombo, Patrick O'Brien, Jellica, and that's pretty much all in these guys here. So the Mavericks should be pretty good. I think they should be a fun team. T-Mac has been really, regressing as of late. Hopefully that means he won't be scoring at a ridiculous rates. Um, but you got Rudy Gay here as well. They got scorers. They got guys who can put the ball in the basket. That's for damn sure. A nice point guard in Darren Collison. So the Warriors made some moves. Obviously, the Warriors drafted Nikola Jokic, and I just don't. There's just no. You can't have Gobert and Jokic on the same team. I know in real life Gobert and Cat are on the same team, but it's not really the same. Gobert needs to be a center. Jokic needs to be a center. I want Jokic to be able to grow without Gobert. Like the longer Gobert stays on the Warriors, and you have to question well, who should stay on the team, Gobert or Jokic? And I just think if you draft Jokic, he's your guy. Period. So yeah, Gobert though should be a nice center for the Mavericks. I think they did pretty well. They went from one era. And now I feel like we're entering a new era of Mavericks basketball that should be pretty interesting. So yeah, I think they could make the playoffs this year too. The Nets, Darren Williams, Klay Thompson, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Tristan Thompson, Tyrese Thomas, Brandon Jennings, Sayer Sene, Chandler Parsons, Tim Thomas, and Jonathan Simmons here, Kyle Anderson. This team, Paul Pierce starting to decline. Kevin Garnett's starting to decline. We'll see how long. Could this be it? Is he going to retire after the season? Right? Is Paul Pierce going to retire after the season? 37, 38 years old. Darren Williams is, he played all right last year, but he wasn't scoring as much. Klay Thompson, though, look at he did really well last year, efficiency wise and everything. I think Klay Thompson really nice complementary piece for this team. You know, shooting from the outside, nice defender. So overall, I think this team should make it back to the playoffs, but it's going to be a short-lived ride because Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce are getting old. They went all in on this team. And how long can this team be great or even playoff caliber, especially in a conference that's so strong? So, yeah, they should be good, but there's a lot of competition in this conference. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, kind of, you know, underperformed. Got the Nuggets here: Derrick Rose, Danny Green, Wilson Chandler, Ersan Ilyasova, Andrew Bynum, Byron Mullins, Nate Robinson, Austin Rivers, Jay Crowder, Jason Smith, and anybody else good here? Mike Pascal is down here. Tim Frazier. This team made the playoffs last couple of years, right? I think they had a bit of a downward slope. Yes, this is when LeBron left. They've stayed afloat ever since LeBron left. They stayed afloat. Not too impressive, right? Not eye popping, but with Derrick Rose at the helm, uh, as their star player, they've stayed in the playoff hunt. And I think that with Ilyasova being their stretch four, Bynum, who is only 29 now, in real life he had some injuries that absolutely just took him out. I think it was an Achilles in real life, and he was just done. But in this sim, he should have a nice second life with the Nuggets and Danny Green and Derrick Rose. So looking forward to seeing how this Nuggets team does this season. Another team I'm looking forward to is the Pacers. Tony Parker, Kyle Korver, Kawhi Leonard, Paul Millsap, Al Horford. Get Xavier Henry went off the bench. Joel Anthony, Will Bynum, Chris Humphries, Evan Turner. I'm not wild about the bench, right? Tim Hardaway is still underrated. I'll make sure that he's properly rated by next season. I really should bump up Tim Hardaway now, but I just don't feel like it right now. Same thing with Bazemore. These guys are at least rotational players. Okay. Anyway, but this team could be really, really, really good, and they could absolutely challenge the Cavaliers with Kawhi Leonard ascending like he is, with Kyle Korver shooting threes. Uh, Tony Parker still got a lot of solid years left, and then you got Paul Millsap and Al Horford. I think that's a really solid front court. So better than solid, really. It's a fantastic front court. So yeah, I definitely think this team could do a lot of damage and possibly contend for a finals appearance. Pelicans: Kemba Walker, Vince Carter, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Sean Marion, Brooke Lopez, Hilton Armstrong, Josh Childress, Jarrett Jack, Jabari Parker, Josh Howard. You got some guys down here too. I feel like this team could actually be decent this year. Is that crazy to say? I think they could actually be somewhat playoff caliber, maybe a borderline, especially with Vince Carter here. He's been playing absolutely great despite being 37 years old. So I hope so. I hope this team could finally do something. I mean, Jesus, look how bad they've been, right? They made the playoffs here. This is when Dwayne Wade was here. Then he left, and then it's just been bad. And like, even when Dwayne Wade was here, they weren't that great. So it's been a lot of disappointment for the Pelicans, and I'm hoping that that could change this year. So here's to hoping. We got the Pistons: Kyle Lowry, Courtney Lee, DeMar DeRozan, Chris Bosh, Denat Kristich, Nick Young, Matt Barnes, Greg Smith, Gigi Barea. This team are pretty much guaranteed to make the playoffs, but also guaranteed not to do much in the playoffs. Kind of a uneasy spot to be in. It's like, do you try to really pick apart this team to make them better, or are you just going to make them worse by doing that? So I kind of want to just keep them where they're at because they have been doing pretty damn well the last couple of seasons. But if I try to pry and really make some big moves, the whole thing could fall apart. So we need to be careful with the Pistons. For right now, they are going to be a really good team. The Raptors: James Harden, J.R. Smith, Trevor Ariza, Boris Diaw, DeMarcus Cousins, Marco Bellinelli, Josh McRoberts, J.R. Bremer, and some bench pieces down here. I'm really hoping this team could finally make the playoffs. But you can say that about a lot of East teams, which makes me worried. But they got Cousins and James Harden. That's a nice pairing. Boris Diaw, hell of a role player, elite role player, starter. J.R. Smith, who's kind of a star in his own right in the Sim. And then Trevor Ariza, who is a great 3-and-D guy. So I feel like this finally should be the team that does it, that does some damage. But I've said that about other Raptors teams in the past, so I just don't know what to trust. Rockets: Jameer Nelson, Lance Stevenson, Andre Karolinko, Jermaine O'Neal, Al Jefferson, Chris Wilcox, Jamal Tinsley, Leandro Barbosa, Brendan Haywood, and some guys down here. Don't really matter. Alfred Payton's down there. This team should be pretty bad, I would expect. I mean, they got a lot of old players here. Karolinko, Jermaine O'Neal, Jameer Nelson. Yeah, I expect them to. Lance Stevenson is like the one interesting young player they have here. Al Jefferson is actually only 29 years old. Oh, that's right. He's only been here since 2004. Yeah, I don't know, man. They're going to be okay or not okay. They're going to suck, I think. Period. Sonics: Baron Davis, Michael Redd, Travis Outlaw, Lou Amundsen, Alex Len, Sean Livingston, Tayshaun Prince, William Avery, Vincent Yarbrough. Got Aaron Gordon here, Jeremy Lamb here. So yeah, my plan is to eventually get Aaron Gordon and Jeremy Lamb some big minutes on this team, and eventually push out some of these other guys. They're not going to be very good. They're going to be pretty bad this season, I would expect, and but that's okay because last year they were a little too good, in my opinion. They were 38-44, and they missed out on a really good draft pick, and so I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen this year. I want to see them actually. I'm hoping Baron Davis can help them tank. If not, I might have to bump him out and put uh, maybe Spencer Dinwiddie in his place. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like that they were as good as they were last season because I felt bad. They kind of missed out on Joel Embiid. They missed out on Nikola Jokic. So I tried to make them a bit worse so that they can have a better, draft. Because if they could end up with somebody like Devin Booker or Karl Anthony Towns, then or Kristaps Porzingis, right? Can't get injured in this sim. So if they can end up with somebody like that, then we're talking about a team that could really be interesting for the next couple of seasons. But if they don't, if they play too well, they might miss out, and then they're just average or below average without a star player, without a young star player. So that's kind of the plan for the Sonics. I know the urge is to make them good right away, but I want to build them up a little bit, and then and then get stars to join the Sonics. So it's going to take time. The Sonics, it's going to take time before they are really popping. The Spurs, Russell Westbrook playing like an MVP, Wesley Matthews, Gordon Hayward, Marcus Aldridge, Joakim Noah now on the Spurs, Aaron Baines, Marquise Daniels, Nikola Mirotic, Ramon Sessions, Marty Collins, Joe Ingles. Really like their bench this year. I really like the starting five. I hope the starting five can do some damage. This team could potentially be a final squad if everything shakes out as you'd hope. So, yeah, I definitely think they could do some damage in the West, a Western Conference that's definitely not as strong as the East. So I think that they could take advantage of that, and maybe they can go toe to toe with the Lakers. You know, they definitely have the talent to do it. They just got to actually, execute. Suns, Goran Dragic, Salim Sotomayor, Otto Porter, Harrison Barnes, Eddie Curry, Jose Calderon, Kendrick Perkins, Jay Williams, Myers Leonard, Hedo Turkoglu, Andrew Wiggins, Gary Harris. Yeah, they got Dwight Powell. They got a lot of wing players, right? Otto Porter over there. They got Andrew Wiggins. I think at one point they had Jay Crowder. They collect a lot of small forwards, and then I have to like figure out what to do with them. So this Suns team not going to be very good. They're kind of going through a weird transitional period, and then not quite there yet. They don't quite have the players to really do anything interesting this season. The Thunder: Jeremy Lin, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Carlos Boozer, Andre Bunyani, Derek Williams, Reggie Jackson, Jared Bayless, Jason Terry, Kevin Martin. Here's the thing, Bogdan Bogdanovich. Here's the thing about the Thunder. They're still pretty damn good. They made a lot of moves last season, or this past offseason. Kevin Durant no longer on the team, obviously. And obviously, Tobias Harris not as good as Kevin Durant. We all know that. But Butler being on the team, Boozer's still here, Banyani, who's been really good in the sim. Um, I think this team could be pretty damn good. And the bonus for them is the freaking assets. So you got Bogdan Bogdanovich, who they could eventually grow and be something. But also, the Thunder have all these first round picks. They got a lot of first round picks. They got a lot of 2015 first round picks. Nothing in 2016. That's from the Gilbert Arenas trade. So so they want to stay good. They want to stay good through 2016 because of the Gilbert Arenas trade, but also because they have Jimmy Butler, right? And I think Jimmy Butler could really emerge and become a star for them. So that's exciting. And that's kind of the plan, is for Jimmy Butler to be a star for the Thunder. And yeah, and for Jeremy Lin, and maybe Jeremy Lin's finally found his home. He's been bouncing around a little bit. I think maybe him and Butler could be interesting backcourt. Then you got Toby here. You got Boozer. So overall, yes, they lost Kevin Durant, but I think they should still be pretty solid. And over the years, as years go by, depending on who they're able to put around Butler and Jeremy Lin, I think they can get right back to where they were with Kevin Durant. Maybe do even a little bit better. Timberwolves: Drew Holiday, Monte Ellis still here, Richard Jefferson, Duane Blair, Andre Drummond, Chris Duhon, James Posey, Kevin Seraphin. Yeah, past couple of years, the Wolves have been kind of bad. Um, they do have Drew Holiday. Monte Ellis scores a lot for them. He's a great scorer for the Wolves. Richard Jefferson's here. I think he could be a nice veteran leader for the squad. Duane Blair not performing like I thought he would. He seemed pretty promising a couple seasons ago. Andre Drummond has been efficiency wise. I'm tired of seeing that. Like, what is up with this? Right? I try to mess. I'm tired. I'm tired of having to fix players' tendencies. Nobody shoots this poorly. Andre Drummond, he's known for like not being that great. All right, he's a great rebounder, not a great offensive player, but he's not this bad. Jesus Christ. 39% from the field? Like, no, man, come on. I've been having to deal with that all sim. I've been having to fix players like that, and I'm tired of it. But yeah, they're gonna be pretty bad. Drew Holiday, we'll see how he can do in his second year with the Wolves, but overall, I don't expect them to do much. We're still trying to like figure things out with the Wolves, where they want to go, who they want to be, et cetera, et cetera. If there's a right move that comes along, Monte Ellis, eventually they have to get rid of him because I think he's a vacuum on offense, right? The ball always goes to him. He always wants to score. And also, like Monte Ellis and Andre Drummond, and that's just a rough having both those players in this team because they have a lot of deficiencies and they can be really exposed. So overall, yeah, not very good. The Blazers, I don't expect much from them this season either. Johnny Flynn, Ben Gordon, Mo Harkless, Mari Stoudemire, Nikola Vukovic, Sharif Rahim is still here, still in Portland, but he's now on the bench. You got Jamison Brewer, Steve Novak, Mike Bibby, TJ Ford, and some guys in the middle. Clint Capella, who I eventually see becoming their starting five. Seth Curry should get some minutes eventually for this team. Mari Stoudemire, I don't expect them to be here for very long. I expect they'll move him at some point for a good deal. Vukovic, I do think it should be the center for the future for this team. You got Mo Harkless, nice 3-and-D guy. Who hasn't really played yet, but we'll see how he does once he actually gets minutes. Yeah, Blazers not going to be very good, but I expect them to, get to a point where they're rebuilding. The Las Vegas Vipers, I think, made some interesting moves. Mo Williams, Ray Allen, Aaron Aflalo is still here, Julian Wright, Joel Embiid, Amir Johnson, Austin Day, John Henson, Jordan Crawford, Andre Roberson, Lamar Odom, Alan Crabb, Tyler Ennis. Interesting squad. Probably a little bit better this year, but also, I don't think they'll be that good. Ray Allen's here though, at 39. He doesn't want to retire yet. Maybe this will be his final year in the NBA. It'll be fun to see Joel Embiid in a Las Vegas jersey. But overall, this team's not be very good. You know that. I know that. Warriors: Rajon Rondo, Bradley Beal, Mike Miller, Channing Frye, Nene, Lou Williams, Daniel Hackett, Drew Gooden, Nikola Jokic, Justin Holiday. So I think the Warriors should start to be really good this year with Rondo here. Beal, I think that's a hell of a backcourt. Mike Miller, I know he's like not very exciting, but I think he should be a nice, um, shooter for this team. Channing Frye is also a nice stretch four. Eventually, the plan is to get Jokic to start, but for now, he's coming off the bench. Yeah, I think this team could be a really interesting team over the years. I think they should become even more interesting as Jokic develops and Bradley Beal continues to get better. He's only 21 years old. And he's already 87 overall, so that's pretty damn cool. Yeah, the Warriors are a team to be excited about in the future. They're just not there yet. Finally, the Wizards. Delonte West, Ronnie Stuckey, PJ Tucker, Al-Farouq Amino, JaVale McGee, Nerlens Noel, Kenneth Faried, Ish Smith, Chris Douglas Roberts, Ronnie Price, Dario Sarge is here, Jimmer Fredette. Power ranking has him at 8. I don't agree with that. Also, I should have bumped down Delonte West. He should not be a 95 overall at this point, right? It's kind of weird that he's that good for that long. But other than that, I don't know. The Wizards are going to be okay. There's really not much to say about the Wizards. They should be fine. I don't expect much from them. But I probably won't make the playoffs. But let's get into that, actually. Just very briefly. So, let me do this. Playoff team, playoff team, playoff team, playoff team. There's 4 right there. No, no. Playoff team, no. Probably not, anyway. Playoff team. Not there yet. Playoff team. Playoff team. Playoff team. Playoff team. That's too many. That's too many. There's not enough slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we got 10 teams in the East that are, at least on paper, definitely look like playoff teams, but obviously 2 of them are going to miss out. and I'm discounting the Hornets, even though they have a pretty good team too. So I really don't know how it's going to shake out. Usually, what happens is the Raptors barely miss the playoffs. That might happen again. The Bulls, do they really have a good team? A team good enough to beat these guys or these guys or these? You know what I mean? So yeah, the East is going to be an absolute dogfight. The West, let's see, playoff. These three teams, yes. Playoffs, no, yes, maybe, definitely yes. You know, I think they should make the playoffs. Pelicans, probably not. Rockets, no. Sonics, no. Spurs, yes. Suns, no. Thunder, I don't think so. Blazers, no. Warriors, I think so, yeah. So Warriors, I think they make the playoffs. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's another team in here that's probably gonna make the playoffs that I'm not. Maybe the Thunder make it like an 8 seed, or maybe the Pelicans crack the 8 seed, or the Mavericks, and one of those three teams. But the West not quite as strong as the East. The East is very, very strong. So now that you've seen the rosters for all 32 teams, let's check out the transactions page, see how things shook out, see exactly what the trades look like that made the rosters look like what they do right now. So you had Andrew Bogut and Nick Batum going to the Sixers in exchange for Roy Hibbert, Justin Holiday, Mason Plumlee, Randy Foye, 2 seconds. Tony Parker going to the Pacers for J.R. Smith and a first-round pick. Elton Brand and a couple of picks going to the match for Jonas Valanciunas, Boris Diaw, and Tabitha Velosha. Jameer Nelson, Sean Marion, etc. going to the Rockets for Sean Livingston. Gerald Wallace going back to the Hornets for a first-round pick. Warriors, Corey Maggette going to the Kings. Vince Carter to the Rockets. Lance Stephenson to the Hornets. I'm going too slow. A 3-team trade there. I think that was the big trade that landed Kevin Durant to the Heat. And yeah, you can see the rest of the transactions here. I'm sorry, I talked too slow to be able to cover all this. But you can see the last one was Gilbert Arenas going to the Bucks. I figured, Kevin Durant trade. There's really no reason for Gilbert Arenas to stay on the Thunder. Anyway, so that is the transactions page. I'm going to leave you with the Lakers ring ceremony. I mean, I guess let's see if I can talk during this. I don't really know if I have much to say about it, but yeah, the Lakers won. Kobe Bryant got his 5th championship, as we saw in the last episode. Larry Forrest is their coach, who he's been there for a while. I think he was there when they won it in 2011, right? So yeah, it's fun to see the path in which Kobe won his 5th ring. Certainly was an interesting one, right? He went through a lot of different phases in his career. As we see, Mike Dunleavy was part of the team. I think he was also a champion with the Milwaukee Bucks in the mid-2000s. So look at his ring and being surprised that he got a ring. Surely he knew that's what it was. But this is what this was all about, right? Jolly Villanueva, he was acquired mid-season from the Vipers to the Lakers, and he gets a ring. So he ended up getting a ring with the Lakers, which is fun. Danny Granger left the Pacers and joined the Lakers on a pretty cheap deal, but he got a ring out of it, so I think he's happy with how things turned out. There he is nodding, and he's confirming that he is happy with how things turned out. So good for him. Good for Danny Granger winning a ring. Kobe Bryant, interesting to see him next, not after a long line of guys, but yeah, Kobe Bryant winning his 5th ring. Right? It's done. He did it. I don't know if he'll be able to get back here. Maybe he can. Maybe they can repeat. They definitely have a talented team. But if he doesn't, at least he got his 5th ring. Chris Paul getting his 2nd ring. He definitely had some clutch moments in 2014. I know he's a bit of a frustrating player to watch in this sim sometimes, because sometimes he just chucks the ball and clinks the ball. But he played much better in the 2014 postseason. So I'm thinking, maybe say it's revenge or something, redemption for him. Dwight Howard getting his first ring. That's right. First ring with the Lakers, but second ring overall because he got one with the Suns. But that is it, guys. That is it. The Lakers, 2014 champions. Next episode, we'll be getting into the opening weekend in the month of November, probably. But there it is. There's all the champions, and the Lakers getting their banner hung up in the Staples Center. That's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching.